Seite, bis die Leute joinen. Also soll man da vorne die Lichter aus? Ich kann das. Genau, da müssen wir mal gucken.
Geht an oder aus?
An oder aus, okay. Und das ist noch an. Okay. Okay. Wir warten noch kurz, oder? Bis die im Webmeeting joinen. Hier steht gerade noch 0 Viewers. Schauen wir da. Willst du mal den Link ausprobieren bei dir? Soll ich ihn kurz mal schicken? Okay, aber die Viewers kommen rein, also die Leute kommen rein. Also super. Dann starte ich mal die Slideshow. Und Martin, ich glaube, du kannst dann.
Ja, haben wir Leute online rein?
Ja, also 2, die kommen jetzt gerade dann einer nach dem anderen rein. Aber ja, hinstellen kannst du dich schon mal.
Okay. Ja, hallo zusammen, schönen guten Nachmittag. Mein Name ist Martin Mähler. Ich weiß nicht, ob wir es lieber in Englisch machen sollten. Vielleicht sind ein paar Kollegen dabei. Okay, so let's switch to English. My name is Martin Mähler. I'm with IBM together with my colleague Matthias Hub. And I would like to welcome you, all of you, to the kickoff event to our first European University Student Bluemix Hackathon that we are going to conduct next week on Wednesday and on Thursday. I'm not sure if you have heard about Bluemix before. If you didn't, you will get the opportunity to learn more from my side. It is, very, very briefly, it's a cloud-based development platform. It's built to make programming very, very easy. So there is a lot of things already solved in the platform, which runs on the cloud, that typically a developer has to build up himself or herself. So you don't have to bother with infrastructure, with setting up software products, configuring them, finding out all the problems, all the hassle that you typically have to do before you can start programming. And in Bluemix, the intention is, and it's built to this intention, that everything is ready, so you can just start with programming. A lot of interfaces, a lot of services are pre-configured, and it's a very easy way to do programming in the cloud. But also, once it is in the cloud and the programming has been done in the cloud, also updates. The deployment of the application is already in the cloud. So it's a very convenient way application that resides in the cloud. It's brand new. It was released, I think, a couple of days ago. Now it's generally available. Before it was in beta phase. Now it's generally available. And yeah, we think it's a very innovative and maybe the future way of doing programming. And everything is based, as mentioned, in the cloud. The other thing I would like to mention, it's based on open standards. So it's not a very IBM-specific solution. Of course, we have built our specific additions to it, but the basis is based on Cloud Foundry, which is an open source, open cloud, so to say, development and deployment platform. So, having said this, I would like to hand over to Matthias, who will give you a little bit more detailed view about Bluemix, and then, if you see here the agenda, we will follow on, giving you more details about the hackathon, about the locations, about the criteria, about the prices, about all the things you might ask us, you might know. So, Matthias.
Sure. So thank you. I will quickly check if the streaming works for them. So let me quickly ask if that is working or not. It seems like we have 5 viewers, so that looks good. Also, I see the green lights here, so that also looks good. Okay, perfect. So let me start to introduce Bluemix. What is it? Why do we think a hackathon fits extremely well for that? And what can we do with Bluemix itself? So, as Martin said, Bluemix is an environment for developers to quickly create applications, to deploy applications, to manage and monitor applications, to use predefined services, to combine these and to create new added value applications. One question before, who already has joined Bluemix or has a Bluemix account? Did you already register on that? Okay, some. So that's good. That's good. So I will give nevertheless a short introduction to how it can be used and how you can also use it for the hackathon, so that you know what it is. When you log in, I basically just logged into Bluemix. I get a dashboard of my deployed applications. I see things like hackathon to-dos, which is currently not running. I see an application called Meetup Stuttgart, which is in running state. I get a glance of how many gigabyte of memory I have already used and how many services I'm actually using. I will talk a little bit to each of these details. Further down, I see services. Actually, I have one Mongo service used, which is mapped to the Meetup Stuttgart to-dos. You see the small icon here, which means it is used here together with that service. If I click for this sample application, I get more details. I see which runtime it is running on. It's the Java build pack. How many instances are there? How many gigabyte of RAM it is using? And I can also see what logs I have got or the server gave me. And not that much. It just started up, so that's look good. Also in the error log should be empty, so that is good. The application itself is in the app folder, so basically that's the thing which is deployed on Bluemix in the file structure. On the runtime tab, I get more information on my application itself. So that is one thing, getting application, retrieving, getting information about the application, but also being able to dynamically intervene here. For example, create new instances, have a different memory quota, scale it up, scale it down, whatever is suited or necessary. Down there, I see the instance details. For example, it uses almost no CPU. It uses quite some memory. There, it just sits there basically. And below there, I see a thing called environment variables. That is the thing how to combine services with my applications. And the linkage is there done with the environment variables. Here down there, this just a JSON snippet which gives you the host name of the MongoDB and the username password, so that you in your application actually can use that service. Each service is a little bit different, what criteria or credentials or host names you need. So that is really service, very service specific. An application in Bluemix will usually get automatically restarted if it went down. If it crashes just within a short time frame 3 times, then it is in the crash state. There we saw the running and stopped state, and there's an additional state we will see soon when we create an application, which is the staging state, which is the initial compilation of the application and deployment of the application. What I now want to show is what is available for services and for application runtimes, and also what add-ons are available. And these are things which you can use later and should use, and yeah, which makes the thing for the development very easy. One thing is the boilerplates. This is kind of starter application, some templates. If you want to see how the whole thing works, you just select one of these, the Java Web Starter or the Node.js Mobile Cloud one or Internet of Things Starter, and then you can just select these, see, okay, I have some documentation here with it. I just see it's a Node.js runtime, and this is used like that, and so that's the way how I push my app from the command line and things like that. So all the information you need how to actually deploy and interact with the application and how to develop the things are in the documentation available for each runtime, for each boilerplate, for each service. It's a little bit different. So there's yeah, you just read the documentation there, and then you can say, okay. I see there's also no SQL database, Cloud, and I can also read the doc, so I just can create a new application here. But what I want to show now is to see how to have the full flow on how to create an application. I've prepared, or a colleague of mine prepared, a sample application and how to interact with the command line and all the things, how to do that. I will do that just after I introduce the services and the runtimes. Runtimes just means that's the container or the underlying system your application can run on. The basic system can be Java with a web container, WebSphere Liberty. It can be a Node.js environment. It can be Ruby on Rails or Sinatra, and you can also bring your own build pack, meaning you can use PHP or any other language and bring it in and bring your own build pack or bring your own code. Is the thing what Martin mentioned. It's not an IBM thing what we are doing, it's a community thing. So there are a lot of build packs out from Cloud Foundry, from Pivotal, from Heroku, which are all compatible with that kind of model, meaning you can use these build packs. For example, if you Heroku Java build pack, you just use that as your underlying build pack, and then you have a Tomcat Java application if you use that. services, and that's where IBM provided quite a bunch of services which made it a little bit different from other platform as a service systems, is how what kind of services are available. For example, push notifications you have available. There is some quality assurance, how many applications are in the field out there, at which version, how many are active, how are the updates over the air managed, and things like that. So these are the mobile system related services here. Twilio is a messaging component also, since I was SMS, so texts, messages, emails, and things like that. For web applications, we have caching, we have messaging systems like message queuing, Light here, a rule engine, a small one, a workflow one. And next to the IBM ones, there's also quite a set of other third-party cache services. For example, the PDNet Bones service is a geocoding service. You give a geolocation, get the address back, or you give an address and you get the geolocation for context-aware application. It's quite helpful to use that. As well as community services, meaning there are services out there, Cloud Foundry or Pivotal Community did, like the RabbitMQ or Redis data store, and it's provided and just available for use there. For data management, we have NoSQL and SQL databases, different kind of Cloudant is a Apache CouchDB database. SQL is the IBM DB2 database. Mongo Labs we have, and also the community ones, the MySQL and Postgres. So quite a variety of services to use. There is, if you think about pricing, there's a set usually for each of these services, which is a free tier, so you don't have to pay for a small amount of data, which is different for each of these services. And then if you have go in production or have more customers using it, you need to upgrade to a pay-as-you-go model. But in the first 30 days, it's free. There's a free trial, and so for the hackathon, of course, you can use that. For the big data, there's also Hadoop analytics available, or some IBM Informix time series databases. There's an app scan service available, which allows scans basically for vulnerabilities your application, and you can use single sign-on with the IBM ID. Code can be written in your local machine, like in Eclipse or any other editor, and then published and deployed on Bluemix, or you can use the chess.net environment, where you create your code right there and then deploy it directly to Bluemix. There's, as you see on chess.net, you see it directly on how to do it and on how to deploy it there, all within the cloud, so you don't have any code locally. Usually testing happens locally, so it will be probably both ways. This is kind of a GitHub thing, so you can clone stuff, clone projects and fork and do these kind of things, and just is directly integrated with Bluemix, and so you can create the code here on chess.net and then deploy it directly into your account. So far to the services which are available and runtimes and how what is available, also documentation. Now I want to show you some real example on how to do it. A colleague of mine did the to-do application sample, which is posted on GitHub, so you will you can get all the code there. What I'm using was no magic behind that. And what this application is, basically a to-do application written in different languages: Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, and for all of these languages, it is shown how to deploy this on Bluemix and how to interact with it. And an example is, I want to show two things. One is the Java one and one is the Sinatra Ruby one, to see how, for each language it's done a little bit differently. For Ruby you usually use gem and bundler, and yeah, that's the normal Ruby environment, and then you can use a rake task to log into the Bluemix environment from the command line. Bluemix can be used here in the UI, as we see, but I think for development it's much more easier to have this in the command line here. Here's something went wrong, as you basically see, but the error message is quite obvious what to do. But here you see I've already used the command line. It's called CF Cloud Foundry, the command line, and then you see, for example, the applications, if they are started or not, and you can get information about the applications. So let me quickly, oh yeah, this one just failed, but I think this one just is still running, so I can get information about the application. It's running since a few days already, and I can do things like restart this application here. And actually what it's now doing, it's actually restarting the application. I probably I don't. Okay, of course this was different. So you can also see which URLs are used. For example, here you see that the Meetup to-dos application currently doesn't have the root, and so, but we will see how to do that. But this application, this command line CF is very helpful for development. So we saw that here you have for Ruby this rake task which my colleague provided, and then deploy the service which is using here a Mongo service. Or you can also, for Java it's a little bit different. It's using Maven, also very standard, and then builds the application, and then you can also push it directly with a Maven task, and you can configure either the Mongo database or the Cloud and backend database. I've already checked out this to-dos, or cloned this to-dos application to my local system. And so if I want to use the Java one, I go just to the directory, look, okay, I have here the Maven resource. I have some source files there, some tests, and yeah, here are the files then in this directory. I compiled it already. I compiled it already once, so I see there was with Maven a file generated, a WAR file, which can then be deployed to the to Bluemix, and then let's just see how it is done. Okay. Here we have the service. It is deployed separately from the application, so I can go in here and say, okay, I want to have a new service. I want to have a Mongo database. Let's do that. Search for the Mongo one, and then we have the Mongo data service. We don't want to add it to any application yet. We just want to add a new service, and we use the free 500 MB sandbox plan. What now happens is that a Mongo database is created for you somewhere. So you actually don't need to care about the life cycle of that instance when it started, or what is when there are some updates on the underlying Mongo system or things like that. You just use that as a service. And if you want then to use it with your application, you just bind it to your application. Here I went to my Hackathon to-dos application, and then I can bind it to an existing application, namely, for example, this Mongo Lab service, what I just did. And I need to restart that. Okay. What I want to show here is what then happens. It is that in the environment variables, there is a new entry in the vcap services variable, which is exactly the URL to the Mongo Lab service. So here for Mongo Lab, we just get a single one, the MongoDB URL, but that's already enough to use it within the application. So as next step here, after deploying the service, we need to run the application there. So let's do that. Here, the Maven command is the complete thing. So Maven does basically all the CF commands for you, but I want to show on how it can be used and how to push applications directly. So if I do now and push to that application, which I just created in the Hackathon to-dos, and then I specify the Bluemix WAR file, Bluemix to-do app WAR file. Then there is the application uploaded, and it is then going into a staging state, which means it tries to detect what kind of application is it, what kind of here it detected that it is a Java application because it's a WAR, which is probably not longer compliant, because on GA date the services changed their things, so it's interesting. But you see, if you encounter any issue, you have here the commands on how to get log files, on how to get what really happened there in the cloud. Here is basically quite obvious. The resource doesn't contain a cloud service connection DB property. That changed from the pre-GA to the GA service. So probably the Git clone is not the newest one what I have. My colleague did not update that after GA. So it failed. But what I want just to show you here, the application itself here. It's interesting. So, as I mentioned before, can be usually accessed via the web page. And so let me quickly map a route. Map route. That means I map an URL for that application, and I use meetup Stuttgart to-dos for that exact application. And that, and it's my Bluemix. So what now happened, I added a URL for that application, so now the application is available at the URL. So if you have a laptop, so probably, or hopefully, there should be something available now at that URL, and actually it is. That means that is all live and out on the internet, so we can just use some to-do 1 and 2 and use that application as is. If I want to see what happens in the backend, I have here log commands. As also mentioned, I can see log files and things like that. So these, there were some images retrieved, and from which URL and which source IP and things like that. Also, I see what happened on startup. It's a Tomcat application. Right. Technical introduction now, because I think for the hackathon you would need something like that. You would need to use the services, how to create services, how to create applications there, how to use the CF command line to interact with the system, Bluemix system. And basically there is a lot of documentation out there, and also Stack Overflow posts, and there is here the thing, the link to a community, and community is basically a forum, and we will monitor that forum and post questions to that, post answers to questions here, and yeah, you can easily ask here a question if you have or need any support, or we're at the hackathon, we are also there to provide support, but that's also a way to find answers there. I think that's it from my side. I want now to hand over to Pascal. So who wants to show a real application? And I go just to his Chrome. I just check if the Hangout is still cool. It seems so. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Matthias. My name is Pascal Hörmer. I'm with the Institute of Parallel and Distributed Systems here at the university. And well, I would like to show you our app we made at the Institute. And afterwards, I will give you some more information about the hackathon event, like the time schedule and the locations it will take place. Okay, let's have a look at our app, which isn't yet opened. As you can see, the app is called Bluebox, which is basically a cloud-based file storage. Like, for example, Dropbox. I think all of you know the Dropbox application. First of all, we implemented a login. And to see the main view of our app, we have to log in. Okay. After logging in, we can see the main view of our Bluebox application. There are two subviews. One subview is the accounts view, where we can add a new account, and we can display the accounts that have already been added to our application. Okay, but the main functionality, of course, is provided in the repository view, where I can upload files of any kind and also give a retainment time for these files. For example, if the retainment time is 10 minutes, then our file will be deleted after 10 minutes, logically. Okay, I don't know if I can upload something from you. Okay. I will just upload something. We don't have to show it, of course. And we can delete it afterwards. Let's just take 1 minute retainment time and upload it. Okay, it should already be uploaded. As you can see, we have a little diagram where the content MIME types are shown. In this case, 100% of the files in the database are of type image JPEG. And we can, of course, display and download the uploaded files. For example, we uploaded some time ago the sunset.jpg, which will be deleted in 86 years, so we still have some time left. And we can download our uploaded picture. It's pretty easy, I guess. So you can delete these files, of course, you can clear the whole database and you can log out. Okay, that's the functionality. I forgot one thing. You can, of course, query the repository. For example, I can search for sunset, and then we will see that we have 0 results, which is a bit strange. Let's try another search. 3D. So results, normally it should highlight this line. So I have no idea what's the error in this case. In this case, if you develop a Bluemix app, you should have a look at the logs of your applications. These can be found under files and logs. And the first thing I would do is to look in the error log and see if an error occurred. Okay. I can't see any errors here, so this should be in order. Maybe there's something on the standard out. No, so at the moment, no idea why the search doesn't work, but that's live in this case. Ah, okay, one result. Magic. And this should also be highlighted. I think it's because we use Chrome and we've tested it with Firefox, so this should be the issue. But normally it works, you can trust me. Okay, but that's just the functionality, so it's pretty simple. It's just a file store, basically. Let's have a look at the Bluemix platform, and we can display our services we've used to implement this app. As you can see, we've used quite a lot of services. We've used a MongoDB, which we've used for the user accounts that can be viewed in this view. So it's basically just a database where we store the username, email, an ID, of course, and the password. I will talk about this cell number thing later on. And we will check, we just check the password at login. So furthermore, we used a MySQL database for the metadata of our files, which you can see below here. The metadata are, for example, the size of the file, MIME type, etc. It's a simple MySQL database. I think that's enough. And we used a Redis key value store for the actual files. So we separated the upload into metadata and the actual file storage, and we used the MongoDB for our user accounts. Okay, as you can see, we implemented this Twilio service, which is basically a service that is able to send out text messages on your cell phone. We used this to send a text message in case a file is deleted from the database or new files have been added. Unfortunately, I can't test it right now because it's not registered on my cell phone. So, but it shows which possibilities you have with Bluemix. For example, with this service, you can easily send text messages. It's just one line of code, basically, and you can send out the message to some cell phones. Okay. I want to show another thing. Let's have a look at the runtime of our application. As you can see, we have 5 instances of our application. Why is this an advantage? Well, 5 instances is an advantage if one instance fails. We can still use the application. To test this, we implemented a method called killInstance, which will shut down the instance. Okay, as you can see, okay, or you can't see, maybe I should use the other browser. Sure. And try it again. Okay. Okay, you haven't. I try to copy it. Oh, okay. So as a Windows user, I use Control, of course. What else? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Okay. This is, of course, a typo. Okay. Now we've shut down the instance. Now we have to be very quick because it restarts quickly. Okay, now we can see the instance is down. We've shut it down, and we can, of course, still use our app as long as at least one instance is running. So with this cloud service, we have the advantage that we can host many instances, and it doesn't matter if our application crashes. Okay, I think that's all for this Bluebox app. Are there any questions about this app? There aren't, so we can switch back to the presentation. Okay. Slideshow. Okay. So let's have a look at the locations where the hackathon will take place. As you can see, the first location is the Syntec building at the Pfaffenwaldring. You have to walk out the main entrance and just walk across the campus, and there you will see the Syntec building. At this building, there will be the reception and the keynote. At the first day of the hackathon, we will meet in this building in the lobby. But I will come to this in the time schedule. Okay, the other location is, of course, the informatic building, which is located here. For you, it's clear, I guess, because you're into it, but maybe for the web streamers, so they know where it's located. Okay, the actual event will take place in the GS pool, which you all know, I guess. You just move across the building, and then it's on the right. Okay, let's have a look at the time schedule. At the first day, we will meet in the Syntec building at the Pfaffenwaldring 5A, as I told you. And there will be the reception, the keynote, and a small buffet with soft drinks. Okay, after that, we will move to the informatic building, and here we will form the developer groups, and we will have a warm buffet, snacks, and so on. And after forming the groups, you can start hacking at 2 p.m. And this is, of course, open-end. Open-end means you are welcome, or you should maybe work all night. So on the next day...
You should probably mention that there will be food service as well.
Oh, of course. Food is always provided during the event, of course. So you won't starve at night, I hope. So let's have a look at the next day. At the next day, the hackathon officially continues at 10 a.m. However, of course, you can work all night, or you can go to sleep and come back at 8 a.m. It doesn't matter. You can continue your work in the GS pool all the time. Okay. The hackathon event will run until 2 p.m. Then you have to finish your applications, and you have to present your results in this room, B3803, and of course, the usual, there will always be soft drink, snacks, and so on, and cookies, of course. Okay, after the presentations, we will see how many groups we will have. I guess we will have about 10 groups. The jury meeting will take place where the jury will select the winner of the hackathon, and the award ceremony will take place a half hour later, also in this room. Okay? I don't know. Will the slides be available somewhere online?
Yeah, I will do it to the hackathon event page.
Okay. Okay, so you can have another look at this time schedule if you want in the next day, so you won't miss anything. Okay, some further information for you. You should use your hackathon registration email to register for the Bluemix. I heard that some of you already registered with Bluemix. Did you use your hackathon registration email? Or who didn't? Okay, is that an issue?
No, if you got an account, that's cool. If it was approved and not.
Okay.
We just want to make sure that all of the people get approved within the next few hours.
Okay, and another very important thing is that students without a pool account of the university, i.e. the informatics department, have to bring their own laptops. It's very important. I don't know if that's a problem for anyone. If this should be a problem, you can reach out to me. My email address is on the first slide, I guess. And you can just write me an email and you can get a temporary laptop for the hackathon event. Okay. During the hackathon, there will of course be a consultation by university and IBM staff, although I can't guarantee that you will get consultation at 2 a.m. in the night, but most of the time you will get consultation by us. Okay. For technical support, as Matthias already said, you can also use the Bluemix Developers Forum, which you already showed.
Right, and that is also available during night, and we have the developers around the world, so it should be some feedback there.
Okay, at this point I'm finished, and I will give the word to Martin again, and he will talk about the criteria.
Yes, so maybe some, yeah, there's a question?
So there will be just one problem that's going to be solved by the whole group, or?
There won't be one topic you have to solve. There won't be any topic. So you can just develop any app you want. So, okay.
In your group, yeah.
Inside the team, of course, yes.
So up to now we have close to 50 participants. We're not sure if everybody will show up on Wednesday, so we calculate among 40 people to attend the hackathon, and we want to group them together in, let's say, group of 4 people. That would be ideal, not smaller, because then we have too many groups. And so if you have larger groups, that would be okay as well. It depends on you whether you want to join together, if you want to build groups beforehand, or if you want to wait for the hackathon and then we will do the grouping. So we expect maximum of about 10 groups. As Pascal mentioned, there will be people around from the university, from IBM during the hackathon to help you if you have questions during your work. And as Pascal mentioned, there is no limitation on the kind of application you want to write. So feel free to build an application of any kind that comes into your mind. Of course, in order to win the hackathon, there are some criteria, and I want to touch a little bit about the criteria now, because we have some prizes, some prizes at the end. The jury, you have heard there will be a jury. The jury consists of people from the university, students, professors. There will be IBMers, and there will be external people as well, and they will judge among the best teams. The best team gets an Amazon check, 500 euros. The second best, 300, and the third winner, the bronze winner, gets 200. So 1,000 euros in total. And these are the criteria. So 2/3 of the criteria goes into application functionality. So the broader, the wider, the nicer the application is, the better it is. The wow factor is something important. Is this something that we have seen 1,000 times before, which is now which now appears on Bluemix? Maybe this is not too good, so if you think about maybe a cool application that comes to your mind, you will have some benefits because the wow factor will be a little bit larger. And then, of course, is do you really use the cloud environment of Bluemix? Do you use the services? To what extent do you use them? The completeness of the solution, is it functional? Is it demo-ready application service? Does the application work in total, or parts of it work in total? If not, you could provide a visual markup for maybe those things that you couldn't finish during that hackathon. There will be you will get some less points compared to those who have everything ready in total. But again, there is no limitation. You can think about integrating social web. You can think about integrating commerce solutions. Whatever is available that comes to your mind. Whatever is available in Bluemix as services, or whatever you find in the internet, and put it into it. So completely free of what you want to show us. And besides the demo or the application, the functionality, of course, it's important to present it. So the oral presentation and the demo is also very important, because you have to convince the judges. So you have to convince the jury. So this is 1/3 of the total score that goes to it. As you can read, you will judge by the way you clearly describe your application's function, how you demonstrate the various attributes of the application, such as the services used, describe external APIs, data sources used, and also interesting, discuss the problems you find out, and hopefully the ways you overcome and solve the problems. So this will be the set of criteria that we want to let you know in advance. I think that's important for you. So, any questions that comes to your mind? Any comments?
I'll just check the Google Hangout page.
So we have to ask the people in the Hangout as well. Yeah.
Will the source code be published in any way, or what, some kind of closed source, so that, for example, libraries with any license for private use?
Maybe Matthias, you can answer about the.
You don't need to publish your source code. So it's more about the application itself, or the originality. What we will have or look at is how much code you already brought in. Yeah. So we will. Yeah. So that's also why we are here a little bit, to see what you actually achieved in that 24 hours. But yeah, you don't have to publish the source.
Just because you can't publish code with libraries that have not a certain license.
Okay, I see. You have to, of course, obey to the license terms, what you can use or not. Yeah, we are still bound by law. That is. Yeah.
Publish.
I know.
Source code.
You need.
Source, or
you can do it. The best or a good way is there the jazz.net thing, for example. If you integrate it directly, or GitHub or whatever, you can. If you use GPL or licenses, you can publish it. Yeah, sure.
But you own the code. Yeah, so code. Any other questions? Everything clear? Does it sound reasonable?
Maybe it would make sense if you all make a tutorial of Bluemix until next Wednesday. So we are ready to start coding.
Yeah, and if you encounter any issues, just drop me a note. That's why the email addresses are there. And so we will put the slides as PDF on the Hangout pages there, so you can read that. It's just mine is hub@de.ibm.com.
Can we consult you now in terms of that account position?
Sure. If you have any, I will still be here for a few minutes, sure, and we can work through that. And if you have any questions, we can already talk about that also. Yeah.
Okay. So, if there aren't any more questions, comments, I really would like to see you again on next Wednesday, 11 a.m. at the Zintec building. As mentioned, frequently food and beverages will be provided, so you don't have to starve. I wish you all the best, and crossing thumbs that we will get very cool applications and some cool winners. We will do a press release, so there will be press available on Thursday. So if you are among the winning teams and you agree, you can do interviews with the press and you will appear in newspapers. So good luck, and have a nice weekend. And as Matthias and as Pascal mentioned, it would be quite helpful to get used to it. That's why we make this kickoff before, so you have some time to get used to your questions. Those guys are very capable to answer, and maybe you can start thinking of what we are going to show us on next Thursday. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Le